in Blades of Arena and stuff like that. But also understand this, guys, as a Retribution Paladin, you can get them out of literally every Hunter CC. They need to cover Rep Paladins to be able to CC a healer efficiently. You can bop a Scatter, you can cleanse a Werven Sting, and you can hand a Sacrifice a Trap. Basically everything. And you also, on top of it all, you can Aura Mastery off a Silencing Shot unless it was done in cast. So, I mean, if you're not getting cross CC'd, you can get them out of basically everything. Take that into consideration. And also what I like to do, if they're not training my healer, or they're not going to be training my hunter to the ground and we have a lot of offensive pressure, I like to bop them out of scatters. Something that's very situational. I don't recommend it if you're not fast with your key bindings, but it's just something to take into consideration. Another thing that I see a lot of hunters not necessarily using to its full efficiency is Master's Call, or their immunity. They basically have this ability that makes them immune to any slows for it's actually fantastic, and I think a lot more hunters need to use it, especially against teams like me. What else do I got? So I guess I'll just talk about some tips and tricks when dueling a hunter. Now, when I duel hunter, I obviously get my guardian out relatively early to try to get the stacks going, but I do not pop cooldowns into Roar Sacrifice. If they hold that Roar Sacrifice the entire time, I will continue to Hodge and blind them on cooldown until they have to use it. So if I Hodge them, they're probably going to trinket instantly. If I Hodge a target, they usually trinket just about instantly, or they sit it and then deter afterwards. But I do not pop cooldowns into my target until I get Roar Sacrifice. So the way that I start my duel is I get my Guardian out. I'll even waste my entire Guardian's duration until he uses his Roar Sacrifice. It's very important. So I'll hit my Hunter, and also use your bubble as a trinket. Do not use it as a reset button because they nerfed our mana pool down. And unless you're healing with procs, and getting that many procs while on a kiting hunter is kind of difficult, you aren't going to be able to reset your health over and over and over again. It's going to be a limited fight. So generally what I do against hunters is I start off by getting some stacks of my guardian, hodging them. They usually trinket. When I get Roar Sacrifice, I put them into a blind. And then that usually eats up majority of the duration of Roar Sacrifice. Right out of the blind, I like to go ahead and pop my cooldowns and put Execution Sentence on first, because even if they deterrence, the Execution Sentence will still continue to fall on them. And then soon after that, after the deterrence and everything, my Hodge is usually back up and they already had their trinket from the first Hodge. That's usually how I end the fights there. I mean, if they're good, they'll kite you to a certain extent. They'll try to silence you while you're rooted to avoid you giving yourself freedom, which is why I often preemptively give myself freedom. Before I even have a concussive shot on me or a silencing shot on me, I am using freedom because I have two of them. I usually go clemency against them when it comes to duels, and when it comes to my glyphs, I always go Templar's Verdict, Burden of Guilt, and the melee wall glyph. And those are the glyphs that I usually use against hunters. Against any other melee, I usually go short duration wall and bubble, but against hunters, I go clemency for the